there's a story that I like to talk about, say about Ruth Horton. And she would come to Community Foundation meetings and sit around a table like this with, like 16 people. And she would be very quiet. And other people would be arguing and discussing and such. And when she finally said that she wanted to speak, the room would go dead silent, because they knew that all along she was thinking about this and thinking about it, and then at the right time she would speak her piece. And she didn't do this very often, but when she did, I remember one time it occurred to me that when the room went deadly silent, it reminded me of like back in the days when you would go to movies and there was a one scene where there was somebody was smooching with another person. All of a sudden, the entire audience would just get totally quiet. And that's exactly what happened. She grabbed the attention of everyone in the room, and for just that short amount of time, everything was focused on what Ruth had to say.
So at first, there wasn't such a thing as scholarships. It was really the awards to different community groups. And so I remember the excitement when the scholarships first became an option at the Community Foundation, and the distribution and meeting the students who had received scholarships. But there were a lot of other things. Those annual meetings were really interesting because, for instance, in some of the communities where they started community gardens, and then you had children and adults and everybody being excited to watch the vegetables grow and then to pick them and eat them. And so it just seemed so many positive things were being demonstrated in places where maybe there hadn't been much of that before.
There was a national Community Foundation meeting. We were surrounded by a lot of community foundations that were some, huge, of course, and some that were smaller, etc. But what was really interesting is that a lot of those people knew about the Community Foundation of the New River Valley and were actually, I can't say amazed, but more like, you're in a small place, how are you doing everything you're doing? And so I think that was one of the fondest memories I had, was how our small community foundation was known way outside of the New River Valley.
I love knowing that in the New River Valley there's so many really great nonprofit leaders who've devoted their time, their talents, their money into solving all kinds of problems. And on the board, it's just a real treasure to be able to go out to those locations, hear from them. These are the groups that we support, and know that our small gifts of donations and grants make a difference. So I've had these fascinating conversations sitting at the lunch table with a grant recipient, learning about the school in Floyd that's doing such non-traditional education. I loved listening to that. I loved sitting at the table with a scholarship recipient who was actually going to a small college in a town in New York where my husband grew up. I mean, they're just these little treasured moments of getting to know an individual organization or an individual who's receiving our funds, and you know that it's going to be used well.
I wouldn't say that it's one particular thing, but at every board meeting, I get teary-eyed, because I know that we're having an impact. I love to hear from the communities that we've served and about the impact. I love reading the student scholarship statements, especially the students who are being awarded or re-awarded a scholarship, about the impact. So I can't say it's one particular thing. It's just that almost every engagement that I have with the board, I feel so proud and I get emotional because I know that we're doing good work.